Welcome everyone to the APFIC webinar. My name is Tiparat Pongthanapanit, Aquaculture Officer of FAO Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific. I'm your moderator. We will be together for 1 hour and a half. Let me introduce the webinar to you. I will use my PowerPoint. Can you see my PowerPoint, Sujit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Today is webinar 5 on pushing the frontier of aquaculture development with innovation. This is one of the APFIC webinar series. We have 5 webinars. The next one will be on subsidies and the current negotiation with the WTO on the 31st March. And all the webinar organized by APFIC, Asia Pacific Fishery Commission Secretariat in partnership with INFOFISH. This webinar open to register participants, and we will record the webinar and you can view it again online. During the 31st session of the APFIC in 2018 in Philippines, recommend that we should document and disseminate the aquaculture innovations prominently adopted in the Asia and Pacific region. FAO Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific, collaborating with AIT, engaged 6 country experts from China, India, Indonesia, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam for documenting the aquaculture innovations that have the potential to be adopted and upscaled in other countries. This webinar will be very much relevant to our ongoing development of we call Aquaculture Regional Technical Platform, which is an FAO initiative hosted by FAO RAP in Asia Pacific region. It's a demand-driven and web-based platform. The function of this platform will be as follows. Number 1, to share knowledge, to enhance efficient and responsible production, to support or stimulate policy dialogue, to facilitate access to training and capacity development, to promote best practice and innovation, to support, empower smallholders, and to promote connection and organization of farmers and linkage of actors along the value chain. The platform also aims to facilitate showcasing and sharing of experiences for within the region and across the region around the world. And it also provides as a one-stop shop for FAO knowledge products. And it will link to all of our work in FAO, including the work from headquarters and FAO regional offices around the world. And this will be also linked to external partners. So we consider that this webinar will be very much linked to the development and ongoing work of Aquaculture Regional Technical Platform. Today we have speakers from 6 countries. Each of them will be provided 15 minutes for each presentation. First, Dr. Salin from AIT will introduce the technical element of from 6 countries, and followed by alphabet, started from China, Dr. Shoji, will present the case from China, and then followed by India, Dr. Kundip, and Indonesia, Dr. Aisom, Philippines, Dr. Maria, Thailand, Dr. Kisada, and the last country is Vietnam by Dr. Wan. After we finish country presentations, then we will have a Q&A session, which Dr. Saline will moderate that session. So we will try to pick the question from the Q&A tab. So during the presentation, all participants are welcome to write your question in the tab, and then we will try to respond by writing, and some will be selected for Q&A session. And the last session will be for each speaker to deliver final remarks, 2 minutes per country. That's all for my introduction to the webinar and also to our speakers. So now I would like to hand over to our colleague in INFOFISH, Dr. Sherin, please.
Thank you, Dr. Tiparat. Hello, everyone. I think we have a slide. Aqua, if you can share the slide. Thank you. So welcome, everyone. And we are happy today to again partner with APFIC for this webinar number 5. And just before we start, we will quickly run through a few of the guidelines for the webinar. And so we'll be having a Q&A session for this webinar. And we invite participants to use the Q&A tab, which you see at the bottom of your screen. And we encourage to make use of this Q&A tab and not the chat tab to post your questions for the webinar to the speakers. And when you're posting the questions, we request that if you could highlight or indicate to which panelists you would like to address the question to. We also have a chat room function, and this function is this chat room is not moderated, so we kindly request to restrict your comments to not include technical comments in there. Again, also not to also have the Q&A questions in the chat box. Next. Also, just to let everybody know that the presentations of the webinar today, it's being recorded, and the webinar will be uploaded on the INFOFISH YouTube channel. The link is now displayed, is what you can see on the screen, and it's also being put into the chat box for your information, and you'll be able to access the presentations after that, and also share with your colleagues who are not able to join us today. The link for INFOFISH YouTube channel is also there for you. And I think that's about it. One more, yeah. So again, we hope everybody enjoys this very interesting webinar today, and in line with of what we are experiencing, the pandemic, and how this innovation is playing a very important role. Thank you, Dr. Tiparat, and have a wonderful event.
Thank you very much, Celine. Okay, let's start with Dr. Saline. Are you ready, Saline?
Yeah.
Yeah, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Tiparat, for setting the right tone for this meeting, and also Dr. Sherin for hosting such a nice webinar. Let me share my screen. Today, my presentation will be focused to give an overview of what we have done in documenting the aquaculture innovations in selected countries. We have worked with very fine expert colleagues, and looking at the aquaculture innovations, the major drivers of the progress in aquaculture innovations are like the enhancing the productivity at all levels in production and consumption, especially at the hatchery and farm levels, which has the capacity to improve economy of the aquaculture sector. Then innovations that control the diseases and thereby, most importantly, eliminate or reduce the antibiotic use in aquaculture, which is a major health hazard these days. And also to explore the potential of aquaculture in mitigating the adverse impacts of climate change and making aquaculture more effective in its response to climate change effects. Then the food safety improvement, particularly the human welfare, apart from the animal welfare, by adopting good aquaculture practices, following the traceability, certification standards, which all ultimately contribute to the livelihood and human welfare. And last but not the least, the innovations that equip aquaculture to better control the environmental impacts and also efficiently manage the resources, the aquatic resources and the other environment associated with them. This is often looked at how aquaculture practices can reduce the waste from production and processing, how to use or adopt novel production systems, how to use novel feed ingredients, and also adopt energy efficient or energy regenerating culture systems and practices. So what makes aquaculture innovations, what gives the aquaculture innovations the competitive advantage is their adaptability and also flexibility for the challenging times or the changes that continue to happen. The environmental adaptability of the new species or systems introduced to diverse farming environments and especially the low trophic levels. Then the resilience exemplified by the robustness and also the capacity of species to adapt to captive reproduction and also stock improvement, and also innovations that contribute to the livelihood of the communities by the innovative production systems and species which are suitable to adapt to the local market demands. So we looked at the aquaculture innovations in the 6 Asian countries, China, India, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam, based on how efficiently they contribute to efficient resource management and environmental control by the introduction of ecological production systems. Then the innovations in nutrition and genetic stock improvement. Then how innovations help in disease management by the use of immunostimulants, vaccines, and also providing a wider network of disease surveillance. Then how the processing or post-harvest and marketing practices can improve product quality, also reduce the waste, and how aquaculture standards or certification largely contribute to traceability in these countries. One of the major innovative changes happening or transformation that is happening is in the information and communication technologies, the use of smart systems, the IoTs, and also a range of mobile applications that are getting more popular in most parts of Asia. And largely, these innovations are getting organized under the policy umbrella that help in human resource management and also organization of the production or consumption community into clusters or more cooperative mode of operation. So we have colleagues from all the 6 countries who will explain the innovations, but I have summarized a few of them. Under the resource management and environment control, we have the several systems listed from China, especially the pond tank culture system, the pond ecological engineering recirculation system, the container pond aquaculture system, the integrated rice-feed aquaculture, which is a traditional system and that has undergone tremendous changes in China recently, and the seawater integrated multi-tropic aquaculture systems, the IMTA, that has been developed so much in China and also getting popular in many parts of Asia and across the globe. Then the shrimp rice mangrove farming in Vietnam, that has been standardized with certification for organic standards. And also the shrimp farming used in the abandoned agriculture soil in India, which is a major step towards a responsible reclamation of resources. Several ecological production systems have been listed from Thailand, Philippines, and Vietnam, especially the species using low trophic level, like the seaweeds, the sea grapes, the shellfish aquaculture, especially the mussels, clam, and oysters, all have been progressing well and making good use of the open waters, which are otherwise not put to any productive use. Then there have been updates on the innovations continuing in Philippines in tilapia aquaculture, the milkfish aqua innovations from the Philippines. All these are traditionally developed species and practices, but a lot of changes have been happening recently. And the giant sea bass farming developing in Thailand, and also the further innovations that the catfish aquaculture value chain in Vietnam is currently undergoing. In shrimp farming, there are several ecological practices have been adopted, especially the semi-biomimicry pond recirculation systems in Thailand, the zero waste farms, again integrating with organic shrimp and other species in Thailand, then the zero water exchange or water discharge shrimp farming system developing in Indonesia, the multi-stage shrimp farming in Vietnam, the mangrove crab aquaculture in Philippines, and also in Indonesia, the white shrimp, the Lithopenes vanami, cultured in the sea net cages. These practices have a great potential for adoption in some parts of the Asia. These are some of the pictures, but you can see more of them from different country presentations. And coming to the development of genetics or nutrition and feeds, we have several new strains of fish and shellfish coming up from China that have been successfully adopted and that have contributed to the enhancement of productivity and also efficiency, resource efficiency in many provinces of China. And we have excellent example of tilapia genetic improvement done in Thailand with successive improvement that helped in systematically enhancing the productivity, the growth rate, and also disease resistance in tilapia, both black and the red hybrid. Then the milkfish and the seaweed stock improvement in Philippines, plus the diet formulation and feeding system in China, the big network that tests and trials several innovative novel ingredients and also species that help to improve production and productivity. In the case of disease management, several immunostimulants and vaccines are being developed in China, and the National Surveillance Program for the aquatic animal disease in India, which is a big nationwide umbrella that helps to regularly check, diagnose, and report disease occurrences with a credible disease reporting system. developed all across the provinces in India. Finally, the genomics in millfish disease detection in Philippines is another innovation that focuses on the disease management. Coming to the processing, marketing, and standards, there has been an excellent food safety and traceability system set up in China, and for post-house handling, the eco-friendly, energy efficient, and low-cost dryers have been developed in India and is very fast. It's being upscaled to different provinces of India, and also the effort to reduce the waste, especially from shrimp processing, by the commercial manufacture of chitin and chitosan products from the shrimp waste reported from India. The ICTs, the information and communication technologies, and the much talked about digital transformation is already happening in aquaculture. And we have several successful examples of such platforms reported from Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, and also India, where there is an online fish retailing platform has been quite successful and has also attracted significant investment from international venture capitalists. The policy innovations, China has a vast network of the agriculture research system developed, which is called the CARS, and that helps to efficiently coordinate the research system, which largely helps in establishing strong network of research and development in Chinese aquaculture. Then we have an example of the large-scale clusters of smallholder farmers set up under the National Center for Sustainable Aquaculture in India, which has been operating for several years successfully, and the sea farming for integrated fisheries development in Indonesia, which is projected to be a large-scale livelihood program for the community. So most of these innovations we have listed, reported, have been adopted or have the potential for adoption on a wider scale. And most of these innovations have proven to endure well. Their flexibility to survive the challenging times has been proven, and they have the potential to greatly contribute to the sustainability of Asian aquaculture and the role of Asian aquaculture as a lead global food production system. So finally, I will look at what are the factors hindering the adoption of these innovations in the region. Some of these aspects have been reported from these respective countries. From China, there is a need for standardization of the production across different systems and environments. In India, the aquaculture value chain needs to be organized well to an industry level. And India and Indonesia share the common weakness in the lack of linkages or poor linkages among the private sector, government or NGOs, researchers, academia, and the farming community. So there is a need for more effective collaboration among the various stakeholders. In Philippines, shortage of funds is still a major problem to match the available technologies and human resources. Philippines need major technology demonstrations, skill trainings, mentoring of farmers, and also need to attract private investment in the aquaculture business. In Thailand, the export restrictions have influenced the smallholder farmers' ability to comply with the certification and standards and the requirements for export, and also making this production highly expensive, and the farmers find it difficult to access financial support. In Vietnam, better coordination is required for adopting a model suitable for one area to be tested and innovated for other available areas. So the key messages from this exercise, we know that aquaculture is like any sector, aquaculture also witnessing the kind of innovation continuum, a paradigm shift from traditional aquaculture to more advanced systems. But the traditional perceptions are still remain intact because the underlying principles of most of these innovations are the same, the age-old traditional perception of making a sustainable aquaculture sector. So the innovations need to be aligned with the long-term strategic plans of policies for each country or region, and also the ability of smallholders to adopt. The innovation should be enhanced because some of these innovations are still beyond the capacity of smallholder farmers. And there need to be stronger coordination by the formation of clusters or organizations among producers or consumers. And more importantly, we need a strong research and development system that attracts more investment, more focus, more regional and international cooperation. And the private sector investment is key to this development, and the formation of public-private partnership, which needs to be promoted for more efficient adoption and scaling up of the aquaculture innovations throughout Asia. And that's all from me, and thank you very much for your patient listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Salim. You cover all the important element of the overview for the 6 countries. Now I would like to move on to the country presentations. We will have no break in between. When we finish China, let's continue immediately by the next country by alphabet, okay? So let's welcome China, Dr. Xiaoqi, to present China cases. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So let me share my screen. So can you see my slide?
Yes, very clear.
Okay, thank you very much. So before my presentation, I would like to give thanks to FAO for inviting me for this talk. So today I would introduce some innovations in China, mostly focus on the productive and eco-friendly aquaculture. I'm Xu Qixie from the Institute of Hydrobiology, Chinese Academy of Sciences. I'm from Wuhan. So first, I would like to introduce the aquaculture in China and talk about the focus on eco-friendly aquaculture. Then I'll talk about some new innovations. So mostly highlight on the improved aquaculture system. Then I'll talk about what we should do in the future. Oh, sorry. So as you know, in the past years, the Chinese aquaculture increased very fast, especially the freshwater aquaculture. And we can say one of third fish from aquaculture in the world is from China. So all this proportion we can find for the marine aquaculture, the most from the raft culture and the bottom culture. You can find the production most from some bivalves. But for the freshwater aquaculture, the most production, more than 70%, are from the pond. So when we come to the species, we can find for the marine species, most of them are mollusks or bivalves, and some seaweeds, only some shrimps and also some fish. But for freshwater, we can find the grass carp, silver carp, bighead, and the common carp and crucial carp. We also have the crayfish here, the shrimp, and this is the tilapia. So as somebody predict in the near future, the consumption of the fish in China still increase. We can find in 2030, it could be 84,000 tons in China. Sorry, 84 million tons in China. On the other hand, we can find we still have more than 80% olivorous, herbivorous, and some filtering fish. All these fish are no traffic level, so they can use most of the plant proteins. Is a kind of, we can say, cost effective. So up to now, the current focus in China or the Chinese aquaculture, most focusing on high efficiency safe food, and also the high quality for the fish. Especially, you know, the Chinese market pay much attention to the sensory and the nutritional. And the most important is environmental friendly. So we pay a lot of attention on the environment conservation. We can find there are many legislations from the Chinese government. So they have this kind of, we call recommendations for the green development of aquaculture. So that's why we take so many innovations on how to reduce our discharge, how to improve the feed conversion. So we start from the new strain selection, then improve our aquaculture system, then we use the optimal diet formulation and the feeding system, and control the disease, and also very good system for the food safety and traceability. So we start from the breeding selection. From here, I just give some examples. We select most strains which show better growth or high disease resistance. For example, this tilapia called Brown Law #1. So the disease resistance increased by more than 25%. And we can find that the survival rate increased around 20%, and the growth rate increased around 50%. So for the other species, it's the sameness selection for the better growth or then high conversion. So we also select some new strain or lines which can use some alternative ingredients or reduce the waste discharging. So for here we can find we feed the fish with fish meal diets, some commercial diets, and also some plant protein diets that show the different response in feed conversion and growth. Then we can find some strains that, for example, these F strains that show high growth and high feed efficiency when they fed the rapeseed meal. So normally, as we know, the rapeseed meal is a lot of good plant protein for fish, but when they use soybean meal, they show different response. So this kind of selection could help us to find some new strains or lines for aquaculture. For example, we have this we call the Gibel Carb Cas5 and Cas3. You can find they show the very high utilization on the dietary carbohydrates, more than 45%. They also show the very good growth and also very good feed conversion. So the aquaculture system is also very important to make the aquaculture more and more efficiency. So this is the new aquaculture system. We call it pond tank aquaculture. So we put different kind of tanks there, and the fish. So sorry, the fish in the tank. The wrong figure. The fish should be in the tank, and also some other filtering fish here. And we also use the bioflug. We call it the bioflug brush. It's a bacteria treating system, and the wetland here is the float. We call it floating wetland. And so this is the tank, the waste of the discharging that goes this way. So they go to this kind of tank, then they were separated by this kind of facility. Then some of the solid waste go into the grass, and the others go into the biofilter. So that water can be totally reused. And we can find the removal of this nutrient is more than 80%. So this is the practice areas. You can see this is the tank in the pond. And normally this tank covered only around 10 to 15% of the pond area. So the cost per square meter is around 15 US dollar. And the water collection is more than 90%. And the productivity could be very high. So more than 60 kilogram per cubic meter. So you can find the water from the tank, then after the treatment, it's very clear. So when we calculate the profit or the growth, we can find FCR is much lower than the traditional pond, and the productivity is much higher. You can almost 5 or 10 times than the traditional pond. And we can also find the profit is much higher than the traditional one. And also the water consumption is also lower. On the other hand, we can find this kind of facility can save water and land, and also can be used in different areas, especially some areas that have not so much water. It's high efficiency, and also high efficiency not only in energy but also the nutrients, and there's high productivity. And the water quality and the fish quality is also very good. And due to the fish they are stocking in these small tanks, so it's easy control and easy management, because the market wants the fish almost every day. So if they are stocked in the pond, the farmers refuse to take it every day. So it's easier for the harvest. So another system we call it pond ecological engineering recirculation system. So the fish in the pond, then the outlet of the water were treated by the algae and bacteria, and also the wetland. So we use different kind of modeling work to codify all these different parts. Then everything can be calculated. So we consider the nutrients for the whole system, because the nutrients is not only for the fish, but also for the bacteria and the algae or some other animals there. So they can, all the nutrients can be reused. So we can find this kind of bioflow can increase the growth of the fish, reduce the FCR, and also they can reduce the wastewater. So aquaponic system is also very good for the purification of the wastewater. You can find could be more than 90% removal. And as the Scientific American Journal said, this kind of the spillage is very good, not only for the water quality, but also for the table food. They said the flavor, the coffee, I don't like it because of the small bones, but the spillage is delicious and is quickly gone. So everyone like it. And this is we call it container tank aquaculture system. It's a new system used in China. It can save a lot of water. More, they can reuse more than, could be almost 100% of the water. And it's environment friendly, standard management, and high intensive, and also high resistant to the bad weather and disease, and also very, very high productivity. So the integrated rice field aquaculture started very, very long time ago in China, but now it's quite improved. We can find the area increased and the productivity is increased very much. And we can find most part of the area and the production are from we call rice, crayfish, the shrimp. And this kind of system was also quantified. So the different kind of models were used to calculate how much about the nutrient flow, and they can control the pest and reduce the pesticide use, and also control the weeds and reduce the herbicide, and also the reuse of the nutrients. So they can improve the production of the fish and also the production of the rice. It's organic. So about the diet formulation, we find some new protein ingredients and also developed that for the aquaculture food, including the algae, yeast, bacteria, and some insects. And also we make the nutrient requirement for different species or the different strains, and we call it the precise feeding regime to reduce the feed cost and increase the growth and the quality of the fish and also the water. So for the disease control, we are mostly focusing on the nutrient selection, better environment, and balanced all the improve the fish health. So the vaccine also used to reduce the use of the medicine. So also the food safety is very, very important in China now. So we can set from the broodstock to the table. So we start from the breeding selection, as we select some good strains have high disease resistance, and then we go to very good environment control, as I said just now, to reduce the medicine use. And we have very strict control of the input, including also the feed, also some other things. And processing is also very, very seriously controlled, and also the cooking. So as the China aquaculture increased very fast in past years, we still have some problems. For example, the high quality seed system should be improved. We need to find some new strains, for example, high growth or high feed conversion, and also maybe the for the other purpose. And we need to find some new feed ingredients and also develop the precise nutrition, because it's also very important to reduce the feed cost and also improve the fish quality. And fish disease is still a big problem. So we can say it's also serious in some fish farm, but it's really a stress to the industry. And as Salim just said, no standardization could not make a sustainable aquaculture industry, because the industry don't know how much they can harvest after they put a lot of money. So that's also very important. The fifth should be the fish quality. You know, the Chinese consumers are very, very serious in the fish quality, and not only the color, but also the taste and also the smell of the fish. So in the future, we should focus on the new species or the new strains selection for different purposes of aquaculture, and also need to develop or improve our precise nutrition and feeding for the definite species. And intelligent and clean aquaculture management should be improved to meet the different market requirements. Up to now, we said clean water, clean feed, and clean fish. So the controlled industry of the production and the processing for different market requirements is also important in the future. For example, we need some high DHA or EPF fish for the elder people, and some specific fish for some specific people. And also the specific enhancement fisheries of the large water bodies should be mostly focusing on clean water. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention. It's just a very brief introduction. So welcome to China and welcome to our institute. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Xiaoqi. Very, very interesting. We have a lot more to learn from China. This is just an introduction. So we welcome everyone to contact him.
Thank you.
And inquire more data and information. Thank you very much. Dr. Kundip, please, from India.
Good afternoon. Is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, fine. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, FAO, AIT, and INFOFISH for this opportunity. There were 6 innovations which were given and described in the article for that documentation. As decided, I'll be discussing only in detail and highlighting the one innovation out of the 6, that's eco-friendly, energy efficient, and low-cost dryers for hygienic drying of fish. The 6 innovations which we have given, they are relevant to the growth of fish production and aquaculture. They are science-based solutions and strategies or products. They are already disseminated and adopted at the commercial level by farmers or by the government of India under its central schemes, have scope for cooperation and cross-learning through the regional networks. And main themes which are addressed are eco-friendly energy efficiency, waste to wealth, use of non-productive land, disease management, IT-based solution to retailing, and co-management of resources. The 6 innovations are the sustainable shrimp farming through clusters of small-scale farmers and institutionalized framework. This is National Center for Sustainable Aquaculture, at present running in 11 states of India. White leg shrimp farming in non-productive agricultural land where they use underground saline water. There's no artificial saline water or anything, but it is because of underground saline water, the area was non-cultivable. Now that has been used, and that is under the large-scale adoption, and it is gone under the central scheme also. Waste to wealth, commercial production of chitin from shrimp carapace waste and its downstream applications. National Surveillance Program, it's a strategy implemented in 22 states of India, mainly to minimize disease risks and the credible international reporting. This has been detailed. Reviews are available by Melba et al. 2020 reviews in aquaculture and Sood et al. In current science recently. And the last is technological innovation in online fish retailing, and about the dryers I'll be discussing in detail and highlighting here. Dry fish is important for South and Southeast Asia and African region. And what we see from literature, some dry fish is also produced in Iceland also, and some of the European countries. It's a cheap source of protein, available year round, resilience against the perishability concerns and the price glut. So it's important, and source of livelihood and income. And during the time such as pandemic and lockdown, dried fish has supported the consumers. No, but there's more to do to this. As the aquaculture and the fish production, there's a lot of thrust in making this as a part of the food across the globe as a healthy diet. Dry fish can play a great role, but it needs a systematic research and documentation from the producing and consuming countries, especially on the dried fish trade and manpower and labor engaged in it, production processes and characteristics, and the food and safety standards. If we take the status of the dry fish industry, and I'm giving here in the two countries, it's still an organized sector. India, 20 to 30% of the total catch fish is dried, and for small export, but mainly for the local consumption. It's mostly catch surplus or low value fish, or which have high risk of perishing. A study at Vizag Harbor in Southeast Coast in 2005 to 9 reported that 25 fishes contributed mainly 2,000 to 4,000 tons of the dry fish. Dried fish is also transported to marine areas for the domestic consumption. At present, though it is subsistence activity, it contributes 7% to the total fish export of India, which is of nearly $6 billion US. Bangladesh, a net importing country from India and Myanmar, consumes approximately 200,000 tons equivalent to the wet plate per annum. It's the fourth major commodity among the fish-based food, and it exports high-value dried fish for their exports in Middle East and UK. Southeast Asia and South Asia, dry fish has an important role. Considering its importance, there is a multi-country project already that has been put in place by Research Council of Canada. There are, I think, 6 countries in that the website is given here, that maps the social economy of the dried fish in South and Southeast Asia, enhance well-being and the nutrition. So it is gaining importance. Now, fish drying, it's a traditional method is open sun air drying with or without salt, and onboard drying by the multi-day trawlers. But it removes to preserve and arrest bacterial growth, enzyme action, chemical oxidation of the fat, and preserve the nutrient value of the fish. That it's supposed to. Concerns are quality and hygiene, which is very important. It depends on the weather conditions. It is vulnerable to dust, seasonal insects, pests, and infestation of organisms, which many times consumer may not be knowing, and not on records, but it cannot be ruled out that unaware producers may use pesticides and chemicals to overcome the problem of seasonal insects and pests. But now the future has an expectation that there should be safe dried fish for consumers, bulk and energy efficient drying to accommodate potentially increasing production and consumption, reducing the losses due to spoilage, increase exports because there is a space for it, improve income from aquaculture, and support nutrition improvement programs, particularly where the malnutrition mitigation programs are running. Now, basic technology of the hybrid dry, which I am explaining here, is specially designed solar collectors are made and which transmit energy to the airflow, which is pumped into the drying chambers. And electrical LPG backup starts automatically during rain and cloudy season. So these are the two fundamental of all the variants which are there. The research behind this technology on the drying characteristics, quality, and energy requirement is published in this peer-reviewed journal with 4 of them I am giving here. This is a product from our sister institute, ICR Central Institute of Fisheries Technology at Kochi. It is an organization dedicated to research and development in fish harvest and post-harvest. Advantages. It has different variants starting to suit the requirement for 5 kg per cycle to 250 kg. Energy efficiency, it has less consumption to 42 to 59% when used the dryers only with the electrical and the LPG. It's eco-friendly, its primary source is solar energy, LPG electricity is only auto backup, and there's no emission. It's easy to install and operate, low operational cost 3 to 5 cents per kg and nil in the tunnel tab, which is shown on the right hand side. Low construction cost below 25,000 US dollar, even for the 250, which is the commercial capacity. Drying time is 6 to 10 hours per cycle, 24 to 28 hours for the tunnel type, which does not consume any energy cost it doesn't have. It also can be used by households, small scale industry, fishermen, or aquaculture farms. This is the table which gives the comparison of the different models. It is from 20 kg to 250 kg. If you see on the right hand side, in the red, it is given is the energy cost if it is run alone on electrical and LPG. You can see it is less than most of the cases. It is half of the energy it is consuming than that. So if we see that the cost is quite low, maintenance cost, this operational cost is very low, but at the same time, it's giving a hygiene product. This is one of the variant of 250 kg per thing. It's a professional model. It has all contact part made of food grade stainless steel. It has all protection. It dries under the controlled condition of temperature and humidity. If you see on the side, this is the commercial and inside view of that. It is using the stainless steel scales on the racks on which the fish is dries using the power from the solar energy as well as with the backup from the LPG. Another is the solar tunnel, which is quite popular. It's a 50 kg with a floor area. It can be dismantled and re-established any place. It is a tent type structure. It is using the UV stabilized transparent polythene sheet of the roof. 3 ventilator fans of 0.5 HP. They give the air inlet and moisture removal. Trays are used for the purpose of the drying and spreading. It does not require any external power source or electricity. The fans are operated using the solar PV panel fitted on rooftop of the dryers. This is an affordable bulk dryer. Then there are other variants of 20 to 40 kg. They work on the similar principles. First is the single chamber, and then there is another one with a 40 kg. That's a 4 drying chamber with the electrical as well as the LPG backups. Now there are small variants also with a 5 kg for households. With the infrared fish dryer, it uses infrared lamps. Then electrical cabinet dryer for the household. But another interesting thing is the portable household electrical dryer, which can be used any place in any room because it has got unique exhaust design that eliminate odor. So it can be used any places. So there is a wide range of dryers available which can be used as per the requirement. Now, adoption of the production, this technology in the production system. This has been disseminated in the south and the northeast states of they are the major fish eaters in India. It has been disseminated through the incubator centers of CIFT, transferred to at least 7 private companies for commercial manufacturing. 28 dry systems have been supplied and commissioned. Clients are mostly self-help groups and fish drying companies. Capacity range to 20 to 300 kg per cycle, with the majority being the 50 kg range. Total installed capacity at present in the 2 years time is 1,390 kg of these dryers. First out of country installation in Bangladesh, supported by World Fish, is going to happen soon. Two tunnel dryers they are getting. And I like to tell you that World Fish and CFT have a program of nutritional project on the nutritional malnutrition mitigation, where they are using the powdered fish. So there also this is playing a good role. If you see the graphs on the right hand side, it has been growing since the last 2 years, the use of these dryers. Now, future perspectives and the conclusion. But the take home message: fish drying with a hybrid technology, it is time and cost and energy efficient and in hygienic condition. It interrupts UV radiation, use only hot air and does not reduce the nutrient value and maintain the natural colors. Another advantage is the modified atmosphere packaging, with impermeable pouch, which can increase the shelf life for dry fish products beyond 6 months. So as by the APIDA 2016, this is Agriculture Products Export Development Authority, they report in case these two technology can be merged, the contribution of dry fish can be raised to 25% from the 7% which is now. Aquaculture production is expected to increase. The dried fish can be one of the low cost at farm processing option. This can be one of the options which farmers many times they can use, because many times when they harvest at the same time, there is a glut in the price. So they can use part of their produce, and it may also encourage the use of the low trophic indigenous small species culture, which is at present it's negligible. And it can have positive impact on stabilizing fish prices, reducing the excess production, and safe food will be available to consumers and revenue for producers and the traders. Thank you very much. These are my acknowledgement to the people whom I discussed for the purpose of preparing this. Thank you very much for hearing this and this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kundip. He kindly highlight one innovation that he selected from the 6 innovation that India documented. Though there are another 5, if other participants would like to follow up, can contact Dr. Kundip and AIT and everyone. Yeah, can we move next to Dr. Aisel, Indonesia? Okay, lady, thank you. Please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to present my innovation from Indonesia with the title of the Community-Based Mariculture Technology Innovation in Indonesia. Sorry, Indonesia is an archipelago state with 17,504 islands, including both large and small islands. The area of Indonesian water is 6.4 million kilometers, consisting of 5.8 million kilometers square of seawater zone and 0.5 million kilometers square of island waters. The country has a coastline length of 108,000 kilometers, the second longest in the world after Canada. Indonesia waters have relatively warm and stable temperature all years around, and with minimal occurrence of tropical cyclones, allowing production to take place continuously.
Dr. Sandy, sorry, I interrupt you.
Okay.
Because can you switch your screen to presentation mode?
Okay.
Okay,
like this?
Sure. Thank you.
Sorry, I can move the slide to next slide with slideshow. May I use the, sorry, I can move this slideshow. So I will like this, okay?
Yes, sure.
Okay, thank you. The potential for aquaculture development is estimated at 15.191 million hectares, consisting of 12.12 million hectares for marine culture. Oh, sorry, why? Sorry, this can move. Okay. The potential for aquaculture development is estimated at 15.19 billion hectares, consisting of 12.12 million hectares for marine culture and 2.19 million hectares for brackish waters and 2.83 million hectares for fresh waters. With a human population of 173.5 million in 2020, where fish consumption is 54.45 kilogram per capita in 2019, the country has a high market potential for aquaculture product.
Dr. Fendi, can I stop sharing and then you can start again?
Okay.
Share screen?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Why? Okay. However, it seems that the marine culture has not developed as expected. As you can see in this table, there are 9 main aquatic animal species of Indonesian aquaculture, namely tilapia, catfish, shrimp, milkfish, common crabs, striped catfish, giant gourami, groupers, and barramundi. The production of groupers and barramundi as marine culture species are lowest, even though seaweed production dominate national aquaculture production. Okay. Why?
Dr. Effendi?
Yeah.
Sorry, maybe you could try sharing again and then use your keyboard to advance your slide instead of the mouse.
Yeah. Can move.
Can you put it on a presentation mode first?
Okay. The number of fish farmers involved in this marine culture business is also lower than that of freshwater and breakwater aquaculture. It's less than 10% of the total fish farmer in Indonesia. And the cause of the low utilization of ocean resource for marine culture include, first, fewer affirmative regulation for the business world. Second, high domestic logistic costs, which lead to low competitiveness of marine culture product, superior seed production input. And third, human resources. And the fourth, technology innovation. So we have a concept for human resource development and technology in the program. We try to address issue and problem of human and institutional capacity that will be presented in this webinar. The human resource development and institutional capacity building program are carried out in conjunction with the pilot or demo farm of development of marine culture technology and management, and take place in community-owned production units that are program participants. The development of technology and management of this marine culture is an action research activity or applied research on the production scale of our aquaculture students from IPB University. From this concept is hope that the development of appropriate technology and capacity building for human resources and community institution is expected. And the location of the program is the Seribu in English name is 1000 Island Jakarta, which 90% of the area is sea. Consists of 111 islands, only 14 islands are inhabited. Population is concentrated on the certain island, especially in Panggang Island. This is the location of Panggang Island and Smackdown Island. Is the coral reef waters with area of 315 hectares. We also involve local government and private companies in the ABGC partnership scheme as main stakeholders. In this program, we prepare a master plan consists of action plan, research plan, business plan, equipment and production input with financial support from the central government, local government, private companies, and community itself. And its implementation in the field will be research, internship, production, business training, and mentoring activities in a package scale, in a package called piloting. In this situation, there will be a high mobility of lecturers, students, and community and private company employees between the campus or lab of campus and the field or community. This is a nice situation that we want. This has an impact on the acceleration of technology dissemination to program participants in particular our local community in general. During the pilot period, assistance or mentoring was provided by the field facilitators, including technical, production management, business recording, and bookkeeping. These field facilitators reside in the fish farmer location and can be accessed by participants for 24 hours in addition to visiting each participant every day. They also conducted seed nurseries for participants at the sea farming centers and facilitate group meeting. They also act as a liaison between program participants and experts from both university and entrepreneur. Some of the result of our program can be seen from the next slide. This is some of the appropriate technologies produced from this program. The first is grouper nursery techniques, herbal treatment for grouper to reduce or eliminate antibiotics, multi-level bottom cage for reduce grouper cannibalism, shrimp culture, undersea floating net cage, smart automatic feeders, water quality checker integrated. Technology was developed by IPB Aquaculture students together with the community. When people know the greatness of this technology, they will immediately apply it in their own production unit. We help them with some material and equipment that they do not have. The sea farming program has succeeded in turning most fishermen into fish farmers. The number of fish farmers in 2005 before the program was implemented was 11 people or 11 farmers. Then it increased to the 141 fish farmer in 2010. And at present, hundreds of people on the Seribu Island depend on fish farming in the sea, although not all of them become successful fish farmer. And now, the Seribu Island are the main supplier of grouper fish for Jakarta and its surrounding cities, Bandung, Bogor, and also Tangerang and Bekasi. Now, grouper is a leading commodity at the Seribu Island. The financial assistance came provided by the government and companies fish farmers group, then used as a loan scheme by group administrators to group members under mutually agreed regulation. The agreement is a derivative of the group article of association and by law that we compiled at the time of the fish farmer group formation. there is a development of harvest biomass and an increase in cultivators' financial capacity. The aid scheme was changed to the loan scheme, and this is the first time it has been implemented in Thousand Island or in Indonesia maybe. This program has also succeeded in changing the general view that a revolving loan that has never been rolled out is now truly revolving and sustainable. The factors that determine the success of this program are first, the willingness of the local government in which this program is developed. The second, the condition of fishery nurseries, and the third, accessibility, and the fourth, funding. This program will be successful if the local government has strong motivation, if the condition of fishery resource is overfishing, and if there is a high accessibility for market and production input. Funding for this program can be done by government or local or central, private sector and community. However, funding is often the main problem in the program development when charged to a government that has less strong motivation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Aiso, for being in time for a little technical problem. Can we move on to Philippines, please, Dr. Maria?
Thank you, Dr. Tip. Can you hear me well?
Yes,
hello?
Very well. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll start my presentation on Philippine innovations for sustainable aquaculture. I am from the Seaweed Aquaculture Department. So this is what would comprise my talk. I'll define Philippine innovation, an overview and status of trends in Philippine aquaculture, some of the research advances and downstream innovations. I've chosen 4 species and a smart farming tool. They told us to confine ourselves to about 6 innovations. So there, and then conclusions and recommendations. Okay. So the Philippines ranks 6th in Asian aquaculture production at 826,000 tons produced in 2018 based on the stats. And the targeted increase is about 9.6% in 2030. And I think as presented by the other panelists, we've seen several challenges in aquaculture, in Asian aquaculture, and these are mainly on disease outbreaks, lack of quality seed stock and brood stock, okay, and then increasing cost of farm inputs. In fact, also lack of adherence to good aquaculture practices and sometimes inefficient culture systems. But we hope to address those with research and development and scientific innovations, and also with science-based policies. So what is Philippine innovation? It's a play with words, combination of Filipino and innovation. We have what we call as the Philippine Innovation Act, which was signed in April 2019. It's Republic Act number 11293. It's a nationwide initiative to boost technology innovation development. And it is composed of 4 clusters. One is cloud computing. Second is food, alternative energy, third, and climate change or disaster science management, fourth. And since we're into aquaculture, we're covered because it's basically food production. Okay, let me show you an overview and status of Philippine aquaculture. We're surrounded with water, being an archipelagic country. And based on statistics provided by the Bureau of Fisheries in 2020, we produce around 2.35 million metric tons of seafood. And this is composed of the major species like seaweeds, which is the top contributor at 1.4 million metric tons, mostly from marine areas, followed by milkfish at 409,906 metric tons, coming from freshwater, brackish water, and marine culture systems, milkfish being euryhaline, and then also tilapia, although this is not a native species, but it's commercially valuable. So we produce around 279,000 metric tons of tilapia in 2020. And these come mostly from freshwater, although some production comes from brackish water now, a negligible volume comes from marine culture systems. Okay, so what are the current trends? Also, in spite of the COVID, we see some disruptions because of the pandemic, but overall, the Philippines has engaged in the production and trade of high-value marine species. Examples are shown in the picture. We also looked into alternative feed ingredients, feeds being high cost in terms of aquaculture production, and so we are into the development of cost-effective diets. There's interest in the intensification of aquaculture systems, but of course there's a trade-off in terms of occurrence of disease outbreaks, but then again, there's the promotion of biosecurity measures that should be adopted on farm. And then there's some interest in marine cage farming, integrated multi-tropic aquaculture, and farming of species that are by tradition not farmed in those areas. Like for instance, tilapias are currently being farmed in brackish water farms or facilities. And then also we have the breeding and culture of native species, like for instance, the anguillid eels, the native clarias, and carans, among many others. Okay, so although much interest is into seaweeds, tilapia, and milkfish, I try to focus on the 4 that I mentioned in the earlier slide. So there's mangrove crab. The target would be to increase survival rate in all phases, in the hatchery, nursery, and the grow out. For shellfish, like the mussel, as an example, would be stable seed stock supply, identification of more farming areas, and production of better and safe shellfish products. For seaweed, increasing production of about 20% yield per hectare before 2022. As for milkfish, also increasing yield to 9 kilograms per cubic meter from cages and 2 tons per hectare yearly from brackish water ponds. And also the target is to lower the feed conversion ratio. Okay, so let me go through each of the species that I mentioned. First off, we have the mud crab. I will give examples of recent researches, but apart from that, I'll focus on the downstream innovations. So some of the advances in mud crab research in the Philippines starts from domestication and looking at the genetic stocks by evaluating their genetic diversity, and also looking at the performance on farm. Kinicho et al. Also tried to develop a larval quality evaluation scheme using formalin stress test. And then there's this study on annelids used as broodstock diets for mud crab, and also establishing a feeding regime, the ideal feeds that should be given to mud crabs in the nursery. So all of those technologies are often written in manuals, as you can see on the right side of the screen. So most of this work have been done at CFDEC AQD. Okay, this first innovation that I'll explain would be a mobile phone application, which is called Crabify. It is the purpose of which is to identify species at the juvenile stage. And it's quite useful for traders and farmers who are not too familiar or have a difficulty in distinguishing several species of crabs. The most preferred species would be the Scylla serrata. So the basis for the application, it was developed using image analysis, and that is looking at the differences on the frontal lobe of the crabs, and also utilizing barcode data. So this work was done by the De La Salle University in the Philippines. So apart from the Crabify, a lot of work has been devoted to mud crab genomics. So Crab App is one of those that are part of this program that was also done by De La Salle University together with CFDEC. So we generated information for softshell mud crab production, although of course this is has the potential, but is not yet a downstream application. But there's information on the level of salinity and temperature that is required for frequent molting. Then the mechanism behind molting was also elucidated. Apart from that, there was a study on CrabAdapt. This is utilizing genomic information to identify stocks that are resilient to stressors. And for this particular project, we looked at heat stress. So there was a comparison of 3 populations, and we identified one population that is most resilient to temperature stress. Okay, moving on mussels. Some of the advances, of course, there's the application again of genetics, comparison of stocks that can be used for future selective breeding programs. There's also evaluation of stock diversity, as well as the development of microsatellite markers for pedigree tracing. Then another group also tried to establish a suitability map using geospatial technologies or GIS and remote sensing. So they've identified areas all over the Philippines that could be suited for mussel farming. So all of those advancements can be read from this manual, which was published purposely for documenting all of these advances. So this work was done by the University of the Philippines in the Visayas. So from there, I highlight innovation number 3 under mussel. So this one, they call it Pinoy longline. Pinoy meaning like a nickname for Filipino. So it's basically a longline method, which they find better than the stake method of farming mussels. They found it to be cost effective mainly because they utilize recyclable materials and they made sure that it is climate resilient. So the stocking density for this type of a system, they suggest stocking density per mussel stock of around 200 to about 400 spots, which could give you good yield. So as I mentioned, this was done by UP Visayas together with, I think, Samar State University. And information on that can be read in the manual, photograph of which you see on the right side of the screen. Okay, next we have the seaweeds, again, utilizing genetic tools. Currently, there's what they call as the Global Seaweed Star Project. So the Philippines is participating in this international research, like a network. But what I listed down up in this slide would be advancements that have been done in the Philippines by CIFDEC and also by the University of the Philippines in the Visayas. So there's the micropropagation method using AMPEP, seaweed farming in deeper waters, and also identifying other seaweed species like Halimenia for bioactive compounds. So, but the innovation that is downstream is this floating seaweed dryer. So it's a simple setup compared to the fixed type land-based seaweed drying equipment. This was devised or designed by the University of the Philippines in Los Baños. So they say that the drying efficiency of seaweeds containing 38 to 40% moisture can be done within 3 to 5 days, which is 2 days short than the usual 1 week of drying. Okay, innovation 5 is on milkfish. This is ongoing. Although for starters, we managed to look at genetic variation in several populations of wild and hatchery bred stocks, purposely for broodstock management. So we developed microsatellite DNA markers together with UP Institute of Biology, of course, CIFDEC, together with the BFAR, and University in Japan, Tohoku University, where we did the analysis. Ongoing studies are on the development of sex-determining markers at the earlier stages of the milkfish, and also looking at genomic resources for improved traits. So we're doing this together with De La Salle University, Marine Science Institute, IB, BFAR, and again, Tohoku University. And apart from that, genomics as applied in fish health management was also started. This was done by the University of the Philippines, some metagenomics work, and identification of immune-related genes in the milkfish. So all of those information can be found in the manual you see on the left side, and some publications, scientific publications. So finally, we go to innovation number 6. This is the application that was developed by a feed company. So they call it the Aquabeast App. It computes daily feed. It helps the farmer a lot in his daily operations, as it assists him in computing daily feed requirement, growth rate, etc. And then it provides information on the weather forecast, and all of the valuable details that he needs in his daily activities on farm. Okay, in conclusion, a lot of innovations are available and some are still being developed, but the success would also depend on the availability of human and financial resources. Like for instance, even if we did develop markers for several of the species that are farmed, the prospects of doing genetic improvement would entail a lot of financial resources. So there should be enough funds to be devoted to R&D, technology development, transfer, and adoption, and encourage linkages between the developers and the end users. So as part of the recommendations, again, more grants for R&D, to be able to develop more innovations, to intensify technology transfer efforts, to work with the private sector to enable aqua innovation adoption, and of course, support government programs. So I guess that's the end of my presentation. Here are my references. I'd like to thank the following agencies: CFDEC AQD, the Department of Science and Technology, where most of the funds come from, the Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Fisheries. They help us a lot in sample collection and all of the necessary things on the ground, as well as the NFRD, IFDA, and various universities or academic institutions whose logos you found at the bottom. And finally, I'd like to thank AIT, FAO, and INFOFISH for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maria. Very well covered all the aspects of innovation in the Philippines, starting from the government, private sector, and also our farmers. That's very well covered. Thank you very much. Let us move on to Thailand. Dr. Kisada, please.
Good afternoon, all participants. I would like to present the aquaculture innovation for better environmental and livelihoods in Thailand. As we know, aquaculture is food for many people and play an important role in raising people of Thailand and the world. Aquaculture activity supports 37% of all seafood production in Thailand. This comprises 17 freshwater aquaculture and 20 coastal aquaculture, which come mainly from shrimp farming. We believe that the shrimp farming has an environmental impact, starting with deforestation of mangrove area. From the slideshow, an unusually reduced mangrove area, beginning with success in shrimp breeding and nursing in hatchery in 1972, and then the large-scale expansion of shrimp farm. This is in line with the reduction of mangrove area. During 1989, shrimp was infected with wild disease, resulting in highly economic loss. Chemical and aquapharmaceutical stepped in to solve the problem. Later in 1991, shrimp culture was extended to low salinity area or total freshwater area in inland. Shrimp flourish in pathogenic disease, which might favor high salinity environment. Until WTO disease, Thai government had to withdraw from low or no salinity shrimp farming in 1998. However, the production of giant tiger prawn remains consistent until slow growth in giant tiger prawn occurred in 2003. Pacific white shrimp farming was depressed. It increased production to reach a maximum of nearly 600 tons in 2010. A year later, an epidemic called EMS has occurred and widespread impact on shrimp farming. Shrimp farming began to realize that the key to future of sustainable aquaculture is balancing environmental concern with the production need for innovation. This is green growth aquaculture. Green and environmentally friendly aquaculture innovation have emerged in Thailand. Start with the removal of wastewater from shrimp farm, also known as zero waste farm. Utilization of sludge requires previous trial for selection of suitable plant species to be grown in farm area, such as coconut, riceberry, banana, vegetable, and palm oil. Shrimp farm began to decrease stocking density to a rate of 50 to 80 shrimp per square meter, so-called semi-intensive farming. Biomimicry concepts have been discovered to encourage zooplankton abundance in post-larvae feeding. Natural feed is compiled for fried bean ferment with micro for 2 days, and then it will be applied to go out pond to encourage benthos and zooplankton growth. Subsequently, it will be served as natural feed beneficial to shrimp growth. The result of applying biomimicry concept indicate that shrimp grow faster and in shorter grow-out period. The post-larvae stock at 100,000 shrimp per line could be harvested in less than 3 months. At the size of 50 shrimp per kilo, average yield was about 10 kilograms per line, and FCR was 1.2. The highlight of innovation of greener and cleaner aquaculture emerging in Thailand is wastewater treatment with sea crabs. Sea crabs, the kalapa, is edible seaweed that look like crab or caviar that could go in the sea floor. Sea crab has spread throughout the Asian continent habitat, which can be interpreted as probability to be culture. It has been used as food in many countries such as China, Japan, Korea, Philippines, and Thailand. Department of Fisheries was successful in mass production of sea crab in 1994 due to project initiated by His Majesty King Bhumibol Adulyadej at Kunkaben Bay Royal Development Study Center at Chantaburi Province and the King Royal initially Lam Pak Bia Environment Research and Development Project at Phetchaburi Province. Since the EMS outbreak, experiments with seaweed to help treat pathogen in shrimp aquaculture were done. The reason for choosing the kalapa is because it can be uptake nitrogen better than Cassularia. An experiment with sea crab to help treat pathogen in shrimp aquaculture has been successful at Phetchaburi Province in 2013 and was promoted under the name Phetchaburi model. By controlling Pacific white shrimp at stock density 100,000 per larva per line, salinity between 27 to 32 parts per thousand. The culture period was 70 days and got the production of 1,025 kilograms per line at the average weight of 12.5 grams per shrimp. FCR was 1.25. By using sea crab, in addition to having properties that help absorb toxins, it also helps treat various pathogens, including EMS that occur during the treatment. It is not that sea crab can be used to adjust water quality well. It depends on salinity. If salinity is between 27 to 32 parts per thousand, by using sea crab, we will have good result. But if salinity is relatively low, using Cassularia will get better result. The method of conjure sea crab together with shrimp is made by preparing a hanging slab 0.5 meter wide and 0.5 meter long made from PVC pipe, and then sketch with a 1 centimeter mesh-size plastic net on the hanging slab to accommodate sea crab. Spray sea crab across the slab. Stocking density on each slab is 500 grams, then cover with another layer of plastic net. The slabs are hung on at least 4 bamboo rails, approximately 25 slabs per bamboo rail at a distance of 1 meter. The slabs are suspended approximately 30 centimeters below water surface, according to water transparency. The Phetchaburi model was successful without much extra cost, but they can take a bunch of sea crab to sell as a free gift as well. Sea crab can be harvested after 2 months. Harvest yield were about 10 kilograms per slab. Method for collecting sea cap by cutting off only the top of the sea cap. The remaining 25% of sea cap are stored for continuous cultivation and can be harvested in 2 weeks at a time. The harvest sea cap are cleaned using fine-side bubble before they are consumed or sold. Firstly, sea cap are used to treat water in shrimp farm since it contains nutrition and other phytochemicals that are used as food, as cosmetic. Recently, people tend to consume sea cap as health product. It was further extended to commercial scale production using culturing strategy and extensive culture in reservoir. Then integrate culture with shrimp in go-out pond. Those two outdoor culture will produce about 50% of top quality sea cap that the market needs. Sea cap production starts from 40 kilograms per line, about 67 and 860 Thai baht per line per year of income could be harvested after 45 days. The yield is 700, nearly 700 rai, and the total revenue is 64 Thai baht per kilo, and the rest of return as high as 53 Thai baht per kilo. Sea cap farm in Phetchaburi Province could generate about 30,000 baht per month of income. However, if growing only sea cap alone in concrete tank system, the yield of top quality sea cap is up to 70%. The 30 inferior quality sea cap are added value by high dehydration to be sold as a snack. And because sea cap are rich in hyaluronic acid, which is the limiting factor for human, but seaweed can naturally synthesize. Hyaluronic acid results in a radiant and useful complexion as well as aging and prevent the formation of wrinkle. In this day, hyaluronic acid sea cap production are become popular and widespread in the international market. Innovation gained from the EMS crisis in shrimp farming can not only enable shrimp farming business to survive, but also extend sea cap business to the Thai people. This is all of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kisada. Very good. Yes, after all the innovation can be upscale, and the most important part is if it can link to the market in terms of value addition, and all other stakeholders along the chain can be engaged. I think that's the key message from China and also Thailand, that as far as I observe. Okay, let us move to the last presentation from Vietnam. Dr. Wan, as promised, I have time for you, 15 minutes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Phan Thị Vân from Vietnam, and together with my colleagues, Mr. Mai Văn Thai, today we would like to present to you the innovations in shrimp farming, a successful multiple stage farming of technology in Vietnam. We are from Research Institute for Aquaculture #1. So in my presentation, there will be three parts. First, I would like to introduce to you the aquaculture and aquaculture innovation in Vietnam. Oh, sorry. And then, sorry, my content is aquaculture and aquaculture innovations in Vietnam. And the second part is multiple stage shrimp farming technology in Vietnam. And the last one is recommendations. So before going to one of our most successful innovation in Vietnam, I would like to walk you through some information about aquaculture and aquaculture own innovation in Vietnam. You can see from the screen here, you can see some rainbow shell eggs and grouper, mouse grouper, and so on. You can see some picture from our aquaculture. So in Vietnam, that we have approximately 80 farm species. So you can see that it's very diverse, from freshwater, including cold water, cold freshwater, and brackish water, and marine water onshore. You can see that for 20 years, our aquaculture production have made a very big increase. You can see from 1999, it's about less than 500 tons, but nowadays, after 20 years, it reached 4.6 million tons. From last year is 4.6 million tons. And we also have a very fast movement in seafood export. Nowadays, we export for more than to more than 160 countries or territories in 2020. And last year, we export 8.4 billion US dollar. And you can see the value for 20 years ago is very, very low. So what is in innovative achievements in research and innovation for aquaculture in Vietnam, we recognize that it's very important for having R&D project and to improve, to develop into innovations. So from 1990 to 2005, most of the projects, aquaculture research project is requested or appointed by the government, but nowadays it's more going for put to tender and also involving a lot of private sector in research. And some of the research projects also requested by the government that have to have collaboration with private sector to bring the result faster to the field and to bring the result for better adaptation. So many domestic and also foreigner projects contributed to aquaculture development in diverse fields. So many fields like breeding, environmental, disease management, nutrition, and so on. And in many aquaculture systems also, and species, from fish to shrimp, from freshwater to marine water, and from onshore cold water, and so on. So we also focus on socio-economic and development of value chains of aquaculture products and markets and planning. So that means that we work very hard for having or developing innovation, so to boost up the aquaculture sector in Vietnam. So in this project, we have selected 5 aquaculture innovation, actually 6, but then we combine shrimp rice and shrimp mangrove into one innovation. So we have clam culture and co-management in Bến Tre province, and oyster farming and development of value chain and application of technology in pangasius farming, shrimp rice, and shrimp mangrove farming toward organic standardization. So the last one is multiple stage shrimp farming technology, which I will walk you through a bit more detail on this. And of course, with 15 minutes, I just work in principle so that you can have an idea. So what is multiple stage shrimp farming technology in Vietnam? Before that, you can see, I would like to show you the trend of the development of culture shrimp production in Vietnam. You can see in the red line, it's tiger shrimp, so we keep it stabilized now. Of course, it's still we consider it's still very important for aquaculture sector in Vietnam, but we should remain have stable production. So for wild leg shrimp, you could see that a big increase. So from 2010 and 10 years ago is still very low, and now last year is 632,000 tons of wild leg shrimp. And in wild leg shrimp, we apply the multiple stage of shrimp farming. In Vietnam, we have different shrimp grow out system, including extensive, and this is mainly for black tiger shrimp, and intensive and semi-intensive is both for in earthen pond and concrete or canvas for wild leg shrimp. But we also have a new, that recently new system is called super intensive, which is grow out in tanks and in indoor system, and is applied only for wild leg shrimp. So depends on different type of species or different type of aquaculture systems, therefore different need for seed, including quantity and quality, and it's the demand that we have to shortening the crop to increase the production income for the grower. So what is multiple stage in shrimp culture? So we have two systems. It's called 2 stages and 3 stages. So, and you can see in the picture we have it. When applying this, it's kind of very intensive system. So 2-stage shrimp cultures is mean that the nursing system at the grow out sites and in the, so that it's the same time. So there is one type that the seed is nursed in pond or hapa within the grow out pond. So it's easy for them to release when it's reached to the time that is going for bigger area to be grown. So as you can see that also one type that within the grow out pond, they nurse it in, but another one is the seed nurse away from grow out pond. So they use different system like in lining nursing pond or circular nursing tank and so on. So it means that they save a lot of time and a lot of area. And after reach the PL reach certain size, so they move into grow out pond. So here is the 3-stage shrimp culture, meaning that instead of 2, they make it into 3 stages. So first is nurse indoor in a circular pond, and then it's moved to the second stage. It's moved to the secondary nursing or grow out ponds, and then later move to the final grow out pond. And during this, of course, applying a biofloc or semi-biofloc technology. You could see in the picture there is 2, like this is CP model for 3-stage shrimp farming, and in here is the Viet-Úc model for 3-stage shrimp farming, and it's super intensive. So what is the impact of multiple stage shrimp farming? First of all, on economic view, is reduce the loss, and of course they have a better control of stopping density. They stop very high density, and they have more healthy seed and reduce FCR, and of course then reduce the production cost, and they shorten And then they have collective nursery, and that also leading reducing cost of production, and especially the shorten crop periods. So it means that less risk and quicker capital return, and every time moving to a different stage, it kind of stimulates the shrimp to grow, to boost or to grow faster. So in this, for the impact for social, we have a collective nursing, so improve farmer relationship and promote the poor and less experienced farmers to involve in shrimp farming, and also because it doesn't require a big area. For environmental, then is improve the control of environment and disease, and especially better use of pond area instead of using one big pond from the beginning. Then now they can use the smaller pond or smaller area or hapa to then is better use. So in this is less use of chemical and antibiotic, and in most of the many farms is no antibiotic at all. So most of them when applying this system. And for this is cope very well with climate change. So that's some information about multiple stage. So we have some recommendation. So innovation must be in line with country aquaculture production practices, international markets, and especially nowadays R&D in what we call 4.0 generation. And also innovation cannot be developed or successfully applied without the supporting from the government and without the involvement of private sector. This is very important, and private sector more and more playing a very important role for developing innovation. Also, there should be an R&D market for aquaculture innovation where people can exchange, where people can trade, and where the people can learn from each other to promote research and development and transfer the technologies. And I think this platform that we are talking here is also one of the very good platform for transfer and sharing the knowledge. The main production sector is need more concern on the development of what we now talk about all the time is 4.0 technology to lead other minor sector. So that is our some recommendation. And in order to sit here and talk with you, I would like to thanks FAO, AIT, INFOFISH, and our Institute Real One. And finally, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wan. Very, very interesting case of multi-stage fish farming. A few years ago, I had opportunity to visit Mekong Delta provinces, and I found a young entrepreneur working on the developing the system in Benje. He was a graduate of Kanto. It has a very high potential, and for upscaling, he even managed to get some money from the bank to expand his business. I think this is promising. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we have the next session. I would like to invite Dr. Salin to moderate the Q&A session. Thank you very much. 15 minutes, please.
Thank you, Tiprat. Yeah, I think several questions have been answered already in the Q&A box, and thank you very much for the panelists for doing that. Perhaps I can ask the first question to Dr. Shauchi, because you talked about the pond tank system. So what kind of species are suitable for farming in the pond tank system? The newer strains, or what kind of fishes are suitable?
Okay, so thank you for the question. I think it depends on the market value. So up to now, several species have been cultured in this pond tank system. For example, the grass carp, tilapia, largemouth bass, and also the cushion carp, grouper, cobia. Yeah, I think it depends on the market value. And we also try to select some new strains or lines for this kind of intensive system, because the time is very, very high intensive. We need to select some new strains.
Okay, thank you for that, Dr. Shauchi. Maybe we have time for one more question, because there was a question on the molluscan species in China, because mollusks contribute a great extent of production in China.
Yeah.
So what are the major innovations? I see some of the answers you have written. I think you can talk about it a little more detail.
Yeah, we have done similar work for mollusca as the fish, because we also select new strains for the high survival, good color, or the good quality. For example, the scallop and the oyster. And we also developed the feed for this kind of mollusca. For example, abalone, a very famous work by Professor Kang Mai. And also, we also catch this kind of mollusca with fish or shrimps or seaweeds. Use a kind of multi-trophic culture system. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Shauchi. Excellent. I have a question for Dr. Kuldeep about the suitability of this drying system for aquaculture species, especially the IMCs, intermediate carps and pangasius and other local indigenous species. Can you elaborate a bit more on that?
And now it is time when we are going for the more on aquaculture production, and now we have got the hygienic way of the drying also. There is a need to test this, and drying and market will not be a difficult thing, because already when the many fishes which comes from a reservoir of the same species, the same nature, they are being dried and sold, even the freshwater. And as a bigger species like mackerels and all, they are also dried. So drying will not be a problem. And since these fishes, there could be the localized pockets, like for major carps. If a suitable size is taken up, Northeast can be the one of the market where there is a consumption for these species. And because I've seen some of these reservoirs, even the Osteobrahma species, which is a small scales and it's a spiny fish. In a huge quantities, people have been drying from reservoir catch. So there should not be a problem, but it can give the resilience to aquaculture prices. Like pangasius, many times in India, prices crash. Major carp also, once upon a time, it was crashing. So there are possibilities that excess production, what they have, that the on-farm fish drying is possible through these models.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, that is very true, because there are many indigenous species, local species that are very high value in most places, especially when they are grown in the reservoirs. This is an excellent opportunity because the value chain is very limited.
Yes.
So I think, yeah, thank you very much for that. I think coming to Indonesia, Dr. Izal, there is a question on the sea farming, because that is developed in Indonesia. The grouper innovations, how it can help production and also help the communities in Indonesia. Please unmute Dr. Izal. You're muted. Yep.
Thank you, Dr. Sarin. I think the sea farming is built on the principle of participatory and bottom-up planning, paying attention to the carrying capacity of the environment and the local wisdom, and involving stakeholders with the ABGC scheme, academician, businessmen, government, and community scheme. This result in a jointly owned program instead of top-down program. So this includes finding appropriate technology which is carried out jointly between university, research institute, the private sector, and the community. These are the social capital that ensure the sustainability of the program in the development of marine culture in Indonesia. And this program, the sea farming program, has been replicated in the other areas in Indonesia. such as in the Nasik Strait in Belitung Island, Bangka Belitung Province, and Kau Island, North Halmahera, North Maluku Province. So the sea farming program has received copyright recognition from the Ministry of Law and Human Rights, Republic of Indonesia in 2018. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Rizal. Then I will move on to Philippines, Dr. Maria. There is a question on the milkfish, because you have highlighted the mud crab, but there is also innovations in the milkfish. What innovations in the feeding? What kind of FCR? These are something interesting for a few people.
From what I gather, FCR as observed by farmers would be around 2. But then again, I've heard from some feed companies that they've already lowered it to a much lower level. But of course, we are not privy to what they've done, since it's all trade secret when it comes to the feed companies. But then again, I'm looking at also applying maybe advanced tools where we want to approach things both ways, both the traditional and the more advanced tools like genetics and genomics. So probably later on, there could be a way of doing nutrigenomics on milkfish. So I've already explained some tools that we want to apply, from broodstock management down to looking at the performance of the various stocks by way of genomics. So it might take a long while. So we're convincing the private sector to also help us out, because they're also the ones who are quite interested in it. But if you're going to do selective breeding, maybe the development of more efficient feeds, and there's no other way to go but the use of, I call it aquaculture 4.0. So that, I think that's my response to your question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe I was also wondering, because milkfish has been a traditional species in the Philippines. So how the small farmers could get access to these new innovations coming up in the sector?
For one, as you may know, several local farms, they rely on imported seed stock. Mainly, maybe I think half of it would come from Indonesia. So doing some selective breeding work and trying to help out, maybe establish a breeding nucleus, and the satellite hatcheries would benefit from maybe improved stocks. So maybe that would be one way to go. So there should be a centralized scheme wherein the farmers can also benefit. It's quite costly, I guess, to maintain a hatchery, more so maintain breeders. So if you notice in one of my slides, I pointed out an initiative towards developing sex determining markers at an early stage, juveniles, mainly because some hatcheries couldn't afford to maintain stocks up until they're about 5 years old, when they're all mature and ready to be used for breeding. So it takes a lot of money to feed them, maintain them. So maybe in that aspect, it could also help some small hatcheries and farms. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excellent. Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Maria. And then I'll move on to Thailand, Dr. Griksada. Because your presentation was a highlight on the Colorapa, the sea grapes farming. So how the smallholder farmers benefit? Again, we are talking about smallholders, small farmers. How it can benefit their own in the domestic market as a food item, and also as an export item from Thailand. What is your take on that? How it can benefit the small farmers for income and nutritional security?
Wastewater treatment with sea gas can enable Thai seafood business to survive.
Dr. Kisada, louder, please.
Yeah, I think if we can speak louder, it's okay. We cannot hear you, Dr. Griksada.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, sea crab farmer, for example, in Petbury province, could generate approximately $900 per month in income. Selling sea crab was operate via middleman and online selling was done in facilitate production, distribution, giving direct access to customer, result in widespread in.
Yeah, okay, because I see some of the sea grapes products in the market also in Thailand. That's very interesting. Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Gitsara.
Celine, maybe I can add to this.
Yeah, please, yeah.
It turned out that the lady who initiated this program on Kalauppa is my friend. She was the head of Petbury station. What I saw her try to do those days, she also tried to develop, create new product and try to get partnership with people in the market like Thai International and many others company. So she built up the chain by get good connection with the buyers. I think that's also her secret. Yeah. But now she was moved to another station, so somebody taking up. I need to follow up later.
Thank you, Dr. Tip. Yes, coming to Vietnam, there is a question on the multi-stage from farming in Vietnam. Is the system very well organized among these farmers, or how this is being conducted? Is the farmer organizations or it's their individual farmers are following the system?
Could you please repeat? Because I was typing the answer in Q&A.
Oh, you already answered it?
No, for another people asking the question in Q&A from me. Yeah.
Okay, about the multi-stage from farming system.
Okay.
How it is being conducted in an organized way. Are the farmers organized, or is it individual owner-based activity? How the farmers are organized on this?
Most of it is organized, but in the sense that big companies, they apply that one. And some of the smaller scale farmers, they also do, but not very often. So it's usually in organized way.
Yeah. Dr. Salin, may I add to this question answer?
Yep.
Okay. As I said, I had opportunity to visit farmers there for this system. The way they organize is through, there are two different models. One is through a large firm. Maybe I can give an example like Viet Úc. Viet Úc has wide network and have good connection with their suppliers and their farmers. The other way is by individual farm who are farmer leaders or young people who are very creative. So what they do is they generate business for equipment, like the tank, and then they also provide a sort of extension service, provide knowledge how to use the tank and how to raise the shrimp, something like that. In other words, it's an informal way of networking, just to connect people along the way, along the chain. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's correct because
very much, Dr. Tip.
Yeah, it's for this 2 and 3 stage or multiple stage farming. Like I said before, that is most of the well-organized company like Viet Úc or CP and others, and also they have a smaller group for kind of startup and so on.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think I can conclude this Q&A section, but with a question passed on to Dr. Tipurath. There is a question on the very interesting on the aquaculture Silicon Valley, because aquaculture innovations bloom up from nowhere. maybe from farmer traditional knowledge. Some innovations are suitable for some environments and they will flourish. So how FAO RAP can help in highlighting these innovations? I think you already have a plan, but this question is for you, Tiparat.
Yeah, this is our first step to do all the documentation. We hope that after we look through all this report, detailed information and data received from the country, and then we will see through the aquaculture platform if any others we should dig up and try to make some showcase, and maybe further collaboration will come. I hope we will go to that step. Okay. Thank you very much for this session. I think we utilized 15 minutes, actually 17 minutes. Now it's to the end of the webinar. I would like to invite each speaker to give conclusion and final remarks, 1 or 2 minutes per speaker. Please start from China, Dr. Xiaoji.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to give some conclusion and recommendations to maybe the global aquaculture. I think first, aquaculture would play more and more important roles in food supply and nutritional value for human. And we need to make standard aquaculture. And only in this way, it can make the industry totally controlled and sustainable. We need to culture more short food chain and or no trophic aquaculture animals, so as we can save our resources. So aquaculture should be developed based on also the local agriculture, because this can help us to reduce the cost, make the best use of the nutrients, and we need to improve science and technology policy. Make this to focus on the sustainable aquaculture, use clean water, clean feed, and make clean food. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Kundip, please.
Thank you. This was a good platform of cross-learning, and I think cross-learning is one of the main aim for this. We might find many of the innovations which we may customize to our conditions, and we may use also. It is a good exercise, and what I like to say, aquaculture is growing, as Dr. Shah has said, that aquaculture will be the only dependable source in the future. It is said. And at the same time, we must see this opportunity that technology is growing at much faster rate. It is for us now to explore that which are the technologies which are coming available and what can be used for aquaculture. And I think we are at a point where we can have the safe and standard foods across the nations available and have the harmonized policies also, which is very important, because there are many risks as we intensify the aquaculture. It is always the risks and the hazards also come. So since most of the countries share the borders and the water and the gene pools, we may have to look into harmonization of the policies where we can have the similar kind of innovations which we use each other, some common experience, common solving of the problems. And here the networks like FAO and NACA, INFOFISH can play a great role. Thank you very much.
Yes, Dr. Aizol.
Thank you. Thank you. I think innovation in aquaculture is a necessity to increase the level of potential utilization, productivity, and efficiency of aquaculture production in Indonesia. Several aquaculture innovations related to the water quality management, feeding, aquaculture production system, and community development are presented in the papers in the report. These innovations have a significant impact on aquaculture performance at the development side in the form of increasing activities, production, productivity, efficiency, competitiveness, and sustainability of aquaculture. In order to increase production, productivity, efficiency, competitive, and sustainability of Indonesian aquaculture, the innovation presented in the report for FAO should be applied on a wider scale, both in location, area, and intensity. For this reason, it is necessary to continue the collaborate between academic, business people, government, and community in implementing and developing the above aquaculture innovation. However, for sustainability, further development and improvement are needed both in the form of replication and dissemination, as well as effectiveness and intensity through outreach campaigns, pilot testing, and mentoring. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one, Dr. Maria.
Yes, thank you. I'll be very brief. I think as we can see from this webinar, there are a lot of innovations, and for them to work, I guess we have to encourage all sectors to be proactive, from the farmer to the researcher to the industry players like the feed companies and all of them. So I guess if everybody would try to pitch in, then I guess all the innovations can be adopted. Resources are readily available. There's the internet. We can often see videos. You can ask people what the latest technology is. So I guess we just take advantage of all of those media. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Kisada, please.
Shrimp farming in Thailand used to increase the country GDP, improving livelihood, but the resulting GDP was an expense of natural resource degradation, that it was unable to maintain the equilibrium. Water treatment to be used in farm could be a hope to bring back those goal-free days for shrimp farming. Using chemical to clean up water would be costly and might not be good for the habitat in long run. Biotreatment is the key. Thus, treating water effluent from farm or water used to grow shrimp by sea crab has been demonstrated at sea farm under the Royan project. Sea crab were used to add a scupper to remove nutrients in shrimp pond. Working by their simple photosynthesis, sea crab pick up nutrients and turn on them into their biomass. Since sea crabs are edible, so they were harvested and sold in market as the phytonutrient as well as hyaluronic acid available. Sea crabs were used in cosmetic industry and becoming popular and widely spread in the international.
Dr. Glitsada, we cannot hear you.
So sorry. So sorry for my microphone. Okay, thus the innovation came from the immense crisis in shrimp farming cannot only enable shrimp farming business to survive, but also extend sea crab business to the Thai people. Thank you very much.
Yes, the last one, please.
Thank you. So I think that aquaculture sector plays a very important role for, I think, most of the countries that having aquaculture in their economy. And in this innovation in aquaculture is the key role for developing aquaculture sector. Therefore, I think the development of innovation, sharing it, and then applying it we need to focus on that, and we need to pay a good attention for that, because having for example, just like multi-stage shrimp farming in Vietnam, so we could use, we can do a better use of resources, including water, human resources, feeding, and ponds, and so on. So I think that I think developing innovation, sharing it, and applying it, that is the we should pay attention for that. And using the platform like now is crucial to share and to learn, and together can bring the aquaculture sector up. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to conclude that this webinar on aquaculture innovation is very relevant, especially nowadays that we have so many challenges in building up the sector. And we need to share our knowledge, our experience, our ideas to help each other in the region, and maybe also across the region, to make our people in the world to have better nutrition, to have better production, better environment, and also at the end better livelihood for all. So I really like to highlight that the key part that many countries mentioned is on policy support and institutional infrastructure, like we see many agencies support innovations, the networking of stakeholders, and also to the R&D startup, and how we make this innovation available to our small farmers. These are all part of the key factors that we really need to take into consideration. We need to do more and upscale the innovation. Thank you very much to all of our speakers, Dr. Salin, Dr. Xiaoqi, Dr. Kundip, Dr. Aiso, Dr. Maria, Dr. Kisada, and Dr. Van for very kind participation, and keep a lot of very nice information to our participants. Thank you very much to our INFOFISH colleague who support this webinar, many webinars already, and we still have more webinars under this APFIC series. We hope to see our participants again in our next webinar on the WTO negotiation. Yeah, and very important part, thank you to all participants to being with us until the last minute of the webinar, and hope to see you all again. Yeah, if I miss anything, maybe you may contact each speaker for more information. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day, good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
See you soon.
Thank you very much.